Okay, the Manchester Planning and Zoning meeting of 20 August is now in session. Give us your attention, please. And, well, roll call is a little bit short. I'm not sure if we can come up with a quorum, but we'll have the reading of the last minutes and see if we can approve those. But it looks like we'll be in trouble. Too in trouble. Yeah,
We only need 3 of council.
yeah, we don't.
You
we
have
don't
5
Yeah.
sitting, 3 constitutes a quorum.
Yeah.
So you're,
So we're at one low.
no, you would have your 3. You would have your 3 members, correct?
That's how it is for the council.
Yes, our
Yeah.
council's like that, yes.
Okay.
So you do have a quorum,
We do have it.
yes. You
With
have
the-
3 members of the group, of the commission.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So you're
I was
good.
thinking it was gonna be 4.
Nope, 3.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. Okay. Reading and approval of the minutes. Anybody wants to take a look at those minutes, please? I know it's in May.
Second.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I make a motion that the meeting minutes from May 20th, 2019 be approved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded, so the minutes have been approved for the month of May. Okay, reports. How about a town? We got anything interesting?
I'll go ahead and give you both the staff report and also the town report, Mr. Chairman. Under new business, a new restaurant has opened up on the south end of town, La Jarachita. It's a Mexican restaurant where I think it was Lynn's Diner used to be in the Maple Grove Business Center. Also, we have a new potential business moving in at 3272. That was vacated by Created and Company. They closed, so we have a potential business heading into that. We had an in-office variance that was scheduled. It was a corner lot setback, which was reduced down for an in-ground pool. That actually was canceled due to the fact that the pool manufacturer, the pool contractor, was able to rearrange the pool, also go with a smaller pool to meet the setback. So that was actually canceled. Also, to bring to your attention, we have a possible BZA hearing that will be held probably September till the appeals board can be convened. And that's in regards to a solar field off of Locust Street. Actually, that is zoned R40,000 right now, and you might be familiar. It's part of the Lamont property. So that's a project that has to go before the appeals board. In regards to town information, the liquor store, packaged goods store, is about 75 to 80% complete. The Sheets project, that's moving right along, as you all well know. That's probably about 80 to 85% complete. The contractor is scheduled to turn the store over to Sheets on September 13th. One thing that I did bring to the mayor and council's attention, and it may interest you folks, I'm trying to possibly bring a problem on the table before it gets too far ahead. If you go to the end of Long Lane and the access road that enters the Sheets store that heads down into the parking lot, it was put in per spec. The width of the access road is the same width as Long Lane, which was requested. This has curbing on both sides. So it's going to be very tight for 2 vehicles to pass along that section. Now, as I explained to the mayor and council, that may be good, that may be bad. We may have to get into a situation if problems arise, not that it's the town's property. We stop at the end of Long Lane. We may get into a situation that it may have to be changed around, similar to Westchester Square. Which Westchester Square, when you go down Westminster Street, you can only enter off of Westminster Street. You cannot exit. So that's something that I want everybody to know about, because we may hear some concerns about that. Also, as you enter the access road to the rear, There are some trees and shrubs, actually shrubs, to the right-hand side, which actually belong to Manchester Veterinarian, and Sheets is going to contact them to see if they could remove some of those shrubs to give more of a sight distance down around that access road. Other than that, beautiful store. Things are coming right along. Very good people to work with, and we're really pleased with the project. So that's about all I have for staff council report. So, yeah.
Guy, how do you feel about Cheat? You okay with that?
Going along just fine. Yep, things are working well.
Good. Good to hear it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's see, I guess we're down to Price.
Thank you and good evening. Probably two big things. The water and sewer master plan has been approved by MDE, and that is now the one we go by, which is, they're calling it the 2019 water and sewer master plan. So that has been approved, and now all the maps and all those will be laminated, so we have those in our office. Then I'll get hard copies or digital copies to all the towns in a couple of days. Secondly, on your desk, I left a sheet with the counties in the process right now of updating the hazard mitigation plan. And it's roughly every 5 years we look at this and it's required by state. The last version was adopted back in 2014, and I'm part of the steering committee. Bobby's a part of that. We have about 4 or 5 from the planning department that are part of the mitigation, the plan. And what they're asking us, the Department of Safety, is for all the liaisons of the towns to get with town staff. And I gave this to you so you can look it over and look at the questions. If you have any things you believe that town staff need to know or would be good to relay back to us, let us know. But I'll be setting up meetings probably within the next month with Manchester and obviously with Hampstead to come to update the mitigation plan and see what areas of Manchester you think is pertinent that need to be, a part of this plan. So these are some questions and thoughts that the department came up with, not the planning department, but the Department of Public Safety. So, over the course of the next, week or so, look these over. If anything comes to mind, definitely let me know or let Steve or Michelle know, and they can contact with me. And then when we meet together as a group with staff, we'll be able to, have a good overall feeling of what needs to be done.
You meet with the staff when?
We have not made an appointment yet.
Okay.
So I'm gonna probably within the next week or two, try to get something set up. And I'm not sure what the timeline is of when they want to get this finalized. But it's sort of like any plan, it's just an update. So some things may be taken out that aren't relevant anymore. Or there may be some things that, since the last iteration, has now become more important for each town and the county to look into.
Okay, looks good.
All right?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, looks like next on the agenda is Riley's Garden.
Okay, this is a Dog and Pony Show here.
Okay.
I'm just filming for Michelle. Sure. I get
I've
to,
got two of the same one here.
thank you.
That's what they look the same to me.
Well, there's some minor difference. I'm going to give you the Dog and Pony Show story to go along with that. But I purchased this small piece of property probably in probably 2016. And in looking at what to do with it, I met with Dan, DRS, and he shared a design concept with me. What was it called, Dan? Pocket neighborhood. And the idea of that is small cluster fitting into an infill property. And that was where we started, but reality, we didn't quite accomplish that because part of the pocket neighborhood concept was to have parking for all the houses in one place. We didn't have, dealing with stormwater management the way we're required today. And as we move through designing something, I think what happened, the designer fell into the same pattern that all of our designers do today, is trying to put as much as we can onto a lot. Similar to what I think you saw and I saw at the last meeting, where the Burwagger property, they were trying to put 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag. And it's something that our concept of the pocket neighborhood sort of got lost. When we were here, well, let me go back. We were here in September of 2017 and presented this first colored up sketch plan of what we were proposing to do on the property. We weren't at a position to ask for any kind of concept approval, but we brought it before you folks and said, does this look like something that would be acceptable? And the response was, this looks good to us. And I think everyone except Robert was here at that time and made that statement. So next step we did was probably we stepped on our own toes, because this only being 3-lot subdivision, you are allowed to go from a sketch plan or go directly to a preliminary plan and final, and not having to go through the concept plan. We didn't have, as I heard, learned, and should have known anyway, until you have an actual approved concept plan, you don't have anything locked in. So looks good, might have sounded fine at the time. But I think Robert pointed out a number of issues on the drawing, and this, we had the preliminary plans here at that time. And I think one of the big issues that I think I heard was that we were really pushing the envelope, no pun intended, and not leaving any area for people to do patios, decks, pools, and that kind of stuff into the rear of their houses. And it was just as I heard on the other development, everybody is going to be in here looking for BZA approvals to do something in that area. So what I've requested and what DRS has done is they've increased the setbacks in some areas where we think we address what we heard, as far as giving enough room for people to do something to the rear of their houses. And Dan, would you give a quick overview of what you've done to try to address those concerns?
Well, it's really, unfortunately, the color map doesn't have lot numbers on it. It's really lot 3 we're talking about. It's the lot.
Dan, could you go to the mic, please, so we can record? Thank you.
It would be the lot to, I guess it'd be the northeast part of the property. It would be the second lot back on the right on the Houston Common driveway. And what we've done at Martin's request is we reconfigured the house as far as the size of the house. And of course, the two maps, you look at them, unless you look closely, they're very similar to one another. other than so the house on that second lot back on the right of the Houston Common driveway, we moved it slightly closer to the Houston Common, and we made the footprint a little bit smaller. We increased the side yard, your criteria is 8 feet. On the preliminary plan we're going to present to you probably next month, we increased that by 50% to 12 feet. The house is actually 13 feet off the line. And if you look in the map, I don't know if the yellow boxes are, of course, the houses and the garages. The gray panels within the yellow box are, we're saying solar panels. And then the white colored hatched areas around the houses are patios. So, we think we've demonstrated that there is adequate area for, outdoor enjoyment, and everyone, of course, one thing that I like to do is when you create these spaces is create them so that they're kind of private. You're in a little private world. You're not looking at your neighbor when you're out in your patio with your guests and friends and everything. So that's what we're trying to do. And other than that, I mean, the two maps are very similar to one another, other than for those minor changes.
Now, at that last meeting, there was discussion about reconfiguring the driveway, and I really ask that you consider our request to keep the driveway configuration the way we have it, because if that gets reconfigured, we have to go back to ground zero on stormwater management. This is a tough site to do stormwater management, and as of last Friday, I think we finally have Dan and Martin Covington agreeing on the final outcome. And what the last point of discussion was, when this was designed, there's two drainage areas in here, one primarily to the rear of the Houston Common, correct me if I'm missing anything, and the other one comes through and takes care of the front. And the side to the rear, the drainage area to the rear was overmanaged slightly, and the drainage area to the front was undermanaged. As a total, they balanced. But the county says, you want to overmanage, fine, or you can cut that back, but we need you to manage 100% of the front drainage area, and that is easily accomplished by increasing the volume of one of the, what do we call them?
Dry wells.
One of the dry wells on the property. So as a result of that meeting on Friday, Dan and his people changed some calculations and resubmitted, and I think we're there. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we tried to come back and show you that we've listened. Hopefully you can see that we have, and ask whatever we can get at this point. But I think we've addressed, and hopefully you can see we have addressed the concern that was raised at the May, I guess at May's last time we were here, right?
So we don't actually have a stormwater management approval letter at this time.
No, we do not. That's why we're not asking for approval of a preliminary plan at this time. We wanted to make sure what we are doing to reconfigure to address the issues that were brought up last meeting, so that if we come back with the stormwater management approval, that's the last approval we need. And we could come back and ask for a preliminary final approval.
So it appears that we have converted outdoor space from decks to patios on the two south lots. Is that correct?
Well, all four lots do show patios. Now, the one the first lot to the left of the use in common, it has a small deck out the rear of the building, but each house there shows a patio.
And
Is that a patio?
in the September
Well, you-
2017
Oh, I'm at the wrong
edition,
plan.
there were decks shown on the two south lots.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's in order to get relief from the setback requirements for a deck.
Well, I mean, you're correct about that. If it's a deck, you've got to adhere to the setbacks of a patio, of course, they're not regulated. But here again, if you look at the preliminary plan, the topography and everything, they lend themselves to patios.
And am I correct in assuming that you've adjusted all the stormwater management calculations for the increased patios?
Yes.
And we have decreased the size on,
Well, it's drainage area A and drainage area
now I'm talking
B.
about the houses.
Oh,
And
well, that's when your house got smaller. And then, of course, that's the same lot that we increased the dry well to accomplish
Okay.
stormwater management.
Right, okay. So looking at the sheet, the one on the lower right, I'm always challenged with north and south. But this is the one that we've made a smaller house on it also.
My next question was going to be, are the models that are shown here actual models that you produce? Are these custom?
These will all be custom.
They will be.
Yes, there are no, there are no existing house plans that I have for these. What I have as a concept is the books that I bought and read and looked at for this
Pocket neighborhood.
pocket neighborhood.
Because I think what we're going to have here is we're going to have a building envelope established for this project,
That's no problem.
to which, yeah, going to have to stay within that.
Yeah, and I think that's what we were doing on the preliminary plan.
Well, right, on the preliminary plan, we show front, rear, and side setbacks. Now,
And all that
typically-
means we got to draw the lines to create the envelope.
Right. Now, typically
That's
on a
correct.
record plat, we only show the front, which is usually all that's required. However, if the commission feels necessary, we can show both front, side, and rear on the record plat that creates that envelope you're concerned.
Yeah, I'd like to
Yes.
see that, so that way there's no confusion.
Yeah, I mean,
down the line.
that takes some of the guesswork.
Right.
And keeps everybody honest.
To address your comment in requesting relief from the potential suggestion to put the kink in the driveway, that was merely a suggestion in order to free up some space for you. You're perfectly free to keep the alignment the way it is, as long as we can meet all the other requirements of the plan.
Setbacks, stormwater management, whatever.
Correct. I'll tell you that I will reiterate that we will not be pleased if we have to see any variances on this, and I will
I
personally.
understand, and you
vote
have a good
against it.
memory.
When we do go to final approval on this, I will be requesting that a document be given to any potential home purchasers
We'll come
indicating
prepared.
that this project was reviewed and that setback variations were not going to be approved.
We will bring a draft of that when we come back for the final.
Okay.
Any other advice?
No?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any public comments on that? Besides Bob, we're okay? So we'll go ahead. Okay. Okay, with that in mind, I guess we could adjourn.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Any second?
Second.
Okay, we adjourn at 7:56. Thank you.